Welcome, summoners, to games cast by Pan and Nero. If you wish to see more commented games, follow my social media pages below. And let's see who they ban out. I'm not familiar with either of these teams, so I expect fairly standard bans. Things like Zyra, Blitzcrank, Kha'Zix. Even things like Shen or Twisted Fate, as they've been used to really high effect in this tournament. Eve and Katarina banned out. Very nice, solid bans. They really don't want that snowball mid laner, and apparently they don't want Lee Sin either. Lee Sin's really nice, just getting a good team a good start and snowballing it to the mid and late game. And I'd probably expect to see a Kha'Zix, Blitzcrank, bans, possibly in a Mumu, as a Mumu is really powerful in the current patch. Possibly even something up top like a Jace, as we've seen Jace used incredibly effectively. But there's the Blitzcrank Kha'Zix. And first pick up to M. They grab a first pick Kayle, rather interesting. Not sure exactly where Kayle's going to be used, but if it's a first pick, it has to be used pretty effectively. It could be used in pretty much every single role, as Kayle is effective at every single role. She's not particularly amazing at any one of them, but she's good at every single one. Even a Kayle support is pretty powerful, as she does have a heal, movement speed boost, and her ultimate's incredibly amazing. Okay, looks like they might go with Nocturne. Ezreal. Nocturne is pretty safe jungler here, and he should actually be able to get off ganks, as many junglers in this online tournament have not been able to get off those early to mid game ganks. They've just kind of been stopped by really well-placed wards and good map vision around the usually bottom lane or occasionally a top lane gank. But also Ezreal, another very safe pick. They can go with pretty much anything and does basically whatever he wants. And I fully expect them to pick either a support or AD carry here for M's side. Unless that Kayle is the support or AD carry, as she can play in either role. But I'm not so sure what they're going to pick. They're probably going to wait for the last second and just insta-lock it. Graves is being shown, and he'd be a pretty good choice, as he does trade fairly well with Ezreal. And Graves Lulu means if you have two really powerful defensive ults with the Lulu ultimate and Kayle ultimate. And if you put those two ults together, it's going to be impossible to kill someone who really gets in there. Or actually gets caught off. Because you can throw the Kayle ultimate on top of them if they get low, then Lulu ultimate when they're low again. And it would work really well. Looks like Sona might be picked up here, and I think Sona would go well, allowing her to just kind of poke down Graves and Lulu and prevent them from doing a pretty hard engagement. They have a chance to do something, but there's the Shen pickup. I really expect Shen to be picked up. Shen does okay against Kayle. He can usually just sit back and farm. He can't make any real aggressive plays, as Kayle's damage is just a bit too much for him. But he is fairly safe in terms of farming, and he'll provide a really powerful combo with the Nocturne ultimate, as you can have two additional people at basically anywhere on the map, with Nocturne able to ult in and Shen on top of him. And I really think that if the CCC team wants to win, Nocturne and Shen combo is a really good idea, especially if the M side picks up a really high priority carry. But I don't think they're going to. I think they're just going to play fairly standard and pick up some well-rounded character, not go any specialized champions. And I'm not sure who the Nocturne Shen can actually jump onto at this point, if they pick stand as they do, as Jax really doesn't need to be jumped in on as he wants to jump in on your team, or can just jump back when they do jump in. And it is a Fizz. And there's really no one that the Nocturne Shen wants to jump in on. Because you can't jump on Fizz, he'll just jump up and run around you. You can't. Graves isn't that great to jump in on, as you have Kayle and Lulu to protect him, and you can't really jump on Jax as he wants you to jump in on him. That's actually a pretty good counter to the way to the Nocturne Shen combo. And I do expect to see the Orianna come out here, as Orianna would work really well with this combo. Nocturne Shen jump in, she pops her ultimate and groups everyone up. And that could be what they need to do, is they can group everyone up with the Orianna ultimate, then they can throw across the Sona ultimate and finish some people off really quickly. That would give the CCC side what they really need this game. And I think that they could push it for victory if they can actually land Nocturne jumping in onto the Orianna ball and combo with that massive chunk of CC. But I'm really kind of curious how they're going to use Kayle and Fizz. Either one of them could be a jungler or a mid laner. But I do think it will be Kayle in the jungle, with Jax up top, Fizz in the middle, Lulu and Graves down bottom. And Graves is basically going Barrier to protect himself from the big combo of everyone jumping in on him, as Shen, Nocturne, and Orianna really could burst him down, even though it's going to be very difficult, as the burst combo can be cancelled on one person by Kayle, and if someone is really low afterwards, Lulu can just pop her ultimate and bring them back alive. Fizz, I'm still kind of curious about the Fizz pick. I'm not sure how well Fizz is going to do against Orianna. He should do okay, though Orianna will be able to beat him in lane, just due to the fact she has ranged attacks, pretty good range harassment, and that defensive ball means that Fizz is not going to be doing as much damage to her as he would a regular champion. Though this game is likely to come down to the ability for Nocturne and Shen to work that combo. Or possibly even just start it off with someone like Sona jumping in there with a crescendo, then running deep with those two. But I think the M side has picked a very good lineup to counteract those global ultimates. All their lanes are pretty safe and have escape mechanisms, with the exception of Lulu, but if Lulu dies on a support, you're not terribly worried if that's the only thing they get for blowing those ultimates. Nocturne also, interestingly enough, has picked up Exhaust instead of Flash, as I've seen many Nocturnes this patch picking up the Flash just to kind of counteract the flashes on the other side. Ezreal has also picked up Cleanse, looking to cleanse off the Shark by Fizz, or possibly the Stun by Jax. I'm not sure what else they could do. They could throw off the Slow by Lulu, but Lulu Slow or Kayle Slow is not particularly dangerous, as you do have Flash and the Essence Shift to just jump away. And also, we do see Fizz picking up Teleport, as he's kind of looking to counteract Shen and Nocturne. If they do decide to go somewhere, he can pop his Teleport and kind of turn the gank around if he's actually able to land his abilities. And I'm still curious about first picking a Kayle in the jungle. Kayle should do fine against Nocturne, as Nocturne really just wants to farm up real quick to 6, possibly throw out 1 or 2 kind of sweet ganks, as his ganks are not particularly powerful until he hits 6, as he does require a good bit of effort to actually run in, pop the fear. Though it would combo well with Shen, as Shen could keep him in place long enough to get the fear off. The thing I'm worried about now for the M side is I'm not sure if they're going to be tanky enough to survive the Orianna ball and an Ezreal ult right across their faces. They don't really have very many tanky champions, and if they don't get the Lulu ultimate and Kayle ultimate off before they're crowd controlled, they're going to be in a bit of trouble. Their lineup is fairly tanky, but that's a lot of bursts coming out, especially if we do see Orianna going for a more ability powered focused build as compared to the more kind of mana sustained builds that we've seen in the past. And Ezreal Sona should have a really nice time down bottom, as Sona and Ezreal can just poke Graves and Lulu and prevent them from actually going in with their full burst combo. Unless they've just gone back to base, but even then, if you just go back to base, if you just push them back to base, that is a pretty big win for the Ezreal Sona. And I do think the Sona ult is going to be incredibly important this game, especially if someone like Jax and Fizz jump in. You can pop that ultimate across them and prevent them from doing the full extent of their damage. go. Turn the music down a bit. And the skins, we do have skins for everyone up on the blue side of M. And same thing for the CCC side. It's pretty interesting to see just some of the different champions that are used on the European scene compared to the North American scene. We've actually seen some different picks out of the European side, and this game is no exception with picks up like Fizz and Kayle. They're really just kind of different. Though the CCC side does not have anything really special about their picks. It's just one of those, you have a few niche picks, and this is the kind of tournament you can bring them out and really catch these kind of up-and-coming teams off guard, as they're used to playing fairly standard, and when you throw off something kind of different, it could really mess them up. It looks like fairly standard starts all around with a bunch of potions coming out from the M side, while we do see Shen picking up cloth armor, and a lot less potions, but still most teams just going with pure potions, trying to stand in lane and just get the farm they can get. We do have Nocturne looking to start red possibly, though the M side is going in fairly aggressively. Sona will spot them out if they run into the bush. Though they are waiting here. No, they aren't waiting there, but Sona does throw down the ward and backs away. Very nice choice. They know what you're doing. They forced out a ward in not so optimal of a position. And it looks like they're going to run around, and they might actually try to go for red. But if they do go for red, they will be spotted out, as Nocturne is actually looking to start red. They might actually even try a 2v1 lane. The Orianna does spot them out, throws a ball, and that will likely prevent the invade. But no, Ezreal's just going to launch out a Mystic Shot and hope that defers them. But it's not enough, as they're really trying to stop this Nocturne from getting a good start. And I don't think he actually is going to have a bad start. It looks like it's going to be Kayle with a little weak of a start, as she's not going to get as much help pulling. Though Lulu might actually just want to stay up top. And it looks like Nocturne is just going to go do his red. Kayle going to be starting off blue. And I expect a fairly early gank from Nocturne if he's starting off red. Though Jax is pretty safe in these early engagements, as he does have, I'm not sure if he has Counter Strike or Leap Strike picked up, but either one of them will prevent a lot of damage. And there has been a lane swap with Sona Ezreal going up top, Shen going down bottom. And they're looking to really stop this Jax from farming, as Jax really does need the farm a lot more than Shen does. Shen just needs to pick up a few health items, possibly another tanky item or so, and he should be okay. But Jax is going to be in a lot of trouble, as he started with just potions, and just the last hit he's forced to burn is Counter Strike. Shen is going to be zoned out down bottom, no question about it. But the thing is, Shen doesn't worry about it too much. He just needs to get 6 and start roaming around the map with his ultimate. And his ultimate doesn't really scale that well with anything Shen builds. And as long as Shen gets his ultimate off in time, it looks like Fizz doing a good bit of damage to Orianna there, and Knight was burned by Fizz. And Orianna is not in good shape after that fight, but Orianna still has her flash and ignite, which she can use at any point. She also brought a fair number of wards. Looks like Nocturne's going to find Kayle in the jungle, but nothing is going to go down other than a bit of harassment. And the Fizz is getting pretty low as Orianna throws out those auto attacks. Looks like Kayle down bottom, and they're going to go for the gank on Shen. Shen is still level 1. He should have his taunt, but he is going to go down here. The question is, will he get anyone with him? And he actually might get Graves with him. Will he actually get it? No, he will not. And they are going to go quickly push down this tower. Nice use of Kayle actually starting blue, roaming around. And there was nothing Shen could do there. That's really what you want to do if you get a 2v1 lane. Especially down bottom, is you bring your jungler around, kill the 2v1 lane, and then just push the tower real quick. You can also get an early dragon if you so choose. But Jax is doing a good job. He's picked up 11 CS and is actually staying alive up top, which is the big thing here. He's also preventing the tower from being taken down super quickly. It's going to go down as well, but the top tower is not as important as the bottom tower. The bottom tower is extremely important because it allows teams to set up for dragon early game and protect that blue buff, especially on the red side of things, as the red side tower is the bottom tower is much more important. Blue buff is far superior to the red buff for most things. Though the top tower for the blue side does gate their blue buff, it is not super important to actually protect it. Looks like Ezreal and Sona are going to push that top tower down soon, while Graves and Lulu had backed, thinking the tower was going to go down to minions, but Shen got there just in time to save it and help himself to almost catching up to Jax at this point, but he did give away first blood, even though Lulu did pick it up. First blood is first blood, and Lulu has picked up a Philosopher's Stone, Grave going with the Vampiric Scepter. Well, no one on the blue or red side has gone back yet, as they're just using their large sum of potions to just continually farm. And it looks like Fizz is taking a lot of damage from this Orianna. These Orianna auto attacks are really potent. And it's a nice champion to pick up against Fizz, because you can throw out several auto attacks and do increased damage with every single one of them. And it looks like blue side will pick up this tower first, as Graves is just going to tank the minion wave while the minions finish them off. Looks like Fizz has back, picking up Boots and the Doran's Ring. And Jax is actually keeping the top tower alive. It's not healthy, but it's better than being dead at this point. And if he can actually keep the top tower alive, it'll be a big win. I'm surprised Nocturne hasn't come up top and did exactly what the M side did, as the M side did that early gank at level 2 while Shen was still level 1. And if Nocturne had come up top as well, they could have easily had this tower down at about the same time. But Jax is doing just enough to keep that tower down. Shen taunts Lulu just outside tower range, as Lulu takes a good bit of damage, but she is returning it as well, forcing Shen to burn through those potions. Jax looks to be out of potions, but is gaining a lot more experience than Shen, as he is almost a full level up at this point. Kayle coming down bottom with Fizz, and it looks like they're going to try and push a second tower down. And I think this is actually a pretty good idea, because you can get a lot of map control with that second tower. And there's no way they're going to actually defend this unless Shen gets a good taunt up. But there's Shen with a good taunt on the Graves. Graves jumps away, and the Orianna ball misses. The Orianna and Nocturne have rotated over. They're taking a lot of damage, and Fizz is going to jump in on Shen, and Shen does go down. Again, looks like Fizz is going to take Nocturne down with him, with the use of the Shark, finishes him off. Orianna is in pretty bad position here, as Fizz and Kayle are nearby, and they're just going to run around dodging everything. And there's Fizz jumping in. Orianna ball knocks on Graves, but Lulu finishes him off. And this is not working out well for the CCC side, as this group up and push for M has really done wonders. They picked up 4 kills so far. They're going to pick up a second tower and give them almost complete map control down bottom, which should lead to denying Orianna blue buffs and picking up an early dragon, should they decide to pick it up at any point here. Shen trying to get in here, but he just does not have a good way to engage here, as Graves is 6, Lulu's about to hit 6. And that's kind of the disadvantage of running the lane swap, especially if you're not getting the kills early. If they picked up the kill on Jax early, or even tried to pick up Jax and sent him back home, they could have picked up the tower and actually gone and defended that second one, trading 1-for-1 towers. But they didn't, so the CCC side is in a good bit of trouble here. Looks like Nocturne is going for a quick Aegis of the Legion. Shen picking up Ninja Tabi. Orianna going with a Doran's Ring, Boots, and Potions. We do have Shen going to pick up a Vampiric Scepter in addition to the Doran's Blade and Berserker's Greaves. We do have Sona going with the Sight Stone and likely a Philosopher's Stone up next, in addition to the standard wards and potions. Jax is not bought yet, but he will in a second. We have Kayle going for the Spirit Stone in addition to the Berserker's Greaves. Jax picking up double Doran's Blades and Boots. That should be enough for him to actually stay alive in any of these lanes and allow him to actually keep up. Though he is keeping up pretty well with 36 CS compared to most people in the low to mid 40s at this point. We do have Fizz going for an early Sheen in addition to a Doran's Ring, likely going to bring that into a Lich Bane fairly soon. We do have Graves going for an early Bloodthirster. I like the choice of Bloodthirster on Graves, as his team really wants to just kind of tank and survive. Looks like there might be a fight here, but no fight does break out, as we do see Lulu going for an early Shiro's Reverie, but this will be first dragon of the game taken by the M side. There's no way they can really fight it. They've thought about doing that with bringing several people down bottom, but they just were not able to. As we do see, looks like Sona Ezreal heading back top, with Shen just going to farm out that bottom lane. And that's the advantage of picking up those 2 early towers, is you can do things like steal blue buff, steal dragon, and there's no real counter for it. because Shen just now hitting 6. He could have come in the fight split pushing, but I don't think he really wanted to. Kayle doing a good job in the jungle, is going to be fighting Nocturne, but Sona is right behind him, and she is going to be in a bit of trouble. She will have to pop her ultimate here. No, she won't, as they do decide to back up as they spotted Jax with the ward coming in. Lulu doing a good job harassing Shen out here, and Shen is just not having a good game this time, as he is 0-2, and he is sitting decently on CS, as no one is really running away with it. Both AD carries are even up at 66. And it looks like the blue buff will be taken by Nocturne and Orianna here. Even though it will be contested should anyone actually come down here. Lulu is going to come out there and throw some harassment, but the blue side is just a little too late to get to it. But Jax is in a position now where you can actually fight Sona and Ezreal. He's level 8, he's up 2 levels on him. And he actually has some decent items because he grabbed the early CS. And this lane swap is just not working well. I have not seen any lane swaps work well this tournament. They've all either been countered or they just had the top laner not go down. And if the top laner doesn't go down, you're in for a bit of trouble. Fizz does throw out the fish, but Orianna just flashes away. And she should be just fine. But another tower will go down here, because I don't think Nocturne's in any shape to defend it, as Graves and Lulu push dangerously far in. And I'm really surprised Nocturne isn't going for this push down here, as they could easily whittle this tower down. And if they can get another tower down, it's going to be a bit of trouble. Sona has opted to come down bottom, leaving Jax to actually roam down middle with Ezreal going back, and it looks like they are going to swap lanes back, with Sona Ezreal being about on par with the Graves, Lulu. The only difference is Lulu has picked up several kills. Jax jumps in onto Nocturne, but there is a few too many here, though Graves and Lulu are coming in, but no damage really done, as we do see Graves backing up, and they're just going to continue pushing, likely throw out a siege here. But the question is, will Ezreal actually land something? Lulu does pop the ultimate, and the Shen ultimate goes on Nocturne with a big combo. Ezreal does go out, and there's the invulnerability onto Lulu, and Lulu will go down here. No, she will not, as she does get enough of a heal, but there goes Jax in the back lines, doing out some big damage as Jax picks off Nocturne, and Shen. Graves finishes off Shen, and this Jax is going pretty strong, but he is getting low, and no one dies from the M side, though they are too weak and will likely have to give up a tower. That's the power of those Kayle Lulu ultimates. Lulu got really low and baited them into a terrible fight. Nocturne should have picked up that kill on Lulu, but no, Lulu had just enough health to survive. And it was pretty impressive. Kayle is going to sit here and try and defend this tower. Looks like teleport's coming in from Fizz, and they will back up, but Fizz with home guard. Going to be way too fast for this Orianna, and Orianna will go down. Fizz does throw out the fish. Fish lands onto Sona, and Sona's going to take a lot of damage. Will she be able to flash over the wall? Yes, she decides to flash over the wall, but Fizz jumps over and gets pretty low. Will Fizz actually pick off the kill? No, he will not, but Kayle is in the area for the movement speed buff and the ability to let Fizz just jump around. This Fizz is doing a wonderful job, and this is probably a tutorial on how to play Fizz properly. Just kind of trade early in your lane, roam around the map, and really play aggressively. In addition to that, dodge the enemy's big spells. He used his jump and pull to dodge several key spells in that last fight. And it looks like we do have Kayle picking up the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. Actually a rather nice choice, as all of her auto attacks are AoE effects, and the AoE effects will proc it on every single one that gets hit. So every single person that gets hit when they group up will actually be dealt additional magic damage. Fizz going for the early home guard in addition to Sorcerer's Shoes. Graves finishes off his Bloodthirster. Lulu with his Shirley's Reverie really looking to pile on the aggression, and she has not picked up the traditional Sightstone yet. And yeah, Kayle jungle with this Spirit of the Elder Lizard is going to be real fast. Jax has picked up the Bilgewater Cutlass and going for a heavy lifesteal build, and his team's looking to just out-sustain the other, as M has a lot of fairly tanky champions, in addition to some fairly tanky ultimate abilities as well. Lulu running in there, doing a little bit of harassment, but it looks like they are just going to go push down this mid lane. Nocturne is not in position, his ultimate still has a few seconds left on it, but it's going to take a good bit of damage, though Orianna's wave clear is strong enough to keep him at bay for a few moments. We do have Nocturne going for the Wriggles Lantern, instead of picking up the early Aegis of the Legion. Orianna has completed her Chalice. Ezreal almost up to the Bloodthirster. We do have the Avariance Blade up onto Graves, likely going into the Static Shiv. as that is a pretty good item and adds to his burst combo pretty nicely. In addition to that, he gets a lot of bonus stacks whenever he uses his quick draw. Looks like we are going to see the blue side group up as Jax is in a bit of trouble up top from Shen Nocturne. But Shen is going to have it turned around on him as Kayle and Fizz jump in. And it looks like the Shark does go out, lands onto Shen, but Shen will be taken fairly low. As Fizz will be able to pick up this kill. The question is, will they get a counter kill onto Fizz? No, it doesn't look like that. As the Lulu ultimate does go off, Kayle ultimate as well. And Fizz is just alive enough, but Nocturne does run out with a shutdown. Though Nocturne is in a lot of trouble here. Ezreal ultimate flies across, and that will mean Nocturne goes down to Lulu. Lulu picking up another kill. Great job of the support Lulu, making sure that all these kills are completely secured, as she does have 3 kills to her name. The only one higher than that is Fizz. Or Jax jumping in there and getting pretty low. The tower does finish him off. Kayle going to do a lot of damage to Orianna, and Orianna will go down. Lulu should be able to take down Sona here, though. There's the Shen teleport, as he has just respawned, and Shen does save the life of Sona, but it was not able to turn it around. Sona's so incredibly low here. Looks like Lulu and Kayle are really wanting to kill. Kayle flashes across and picks up the kill, but the movement speed of both Kayle and Lulu is too much, and Shen does not land the taunt. That's one thing I did forget to talk about in Champion Select, as we do see Graves pushing that bottom tower. Nocturne should be able to get on him for a fear, but I don't think Ezreal wants to chase. So Nocturne should not chase much longer, though he does pop the exhaust and do a good bit of damage to Graves. Graves is in a lot of trouble now, as he will be forced to just back up and probably die here. Though he is going to take Nocturne pretty low, he will take 1 kill with him, but Ezreal will pick up a kill onto Graves, though the minions might actually pick up a counter kill, or Fizz will as he runs in here. And there is just no chance for Ezreal to escape. And that's something I did forget to talk about, is they do have double movement speed buffs on the Lulu and Kayle. So they can easily pop both of those and just run around the map and get into good positions like they did just there. They threw on the movement speed buffs of both parties, and they just ran from the tower before Shen could even taunt. Looks like Fizz jumping in on Orianna. Orianna getting pretty low, and Orianna will be taken down here as she was hit by the Shark. Question is, will she be able to die down? Yes, she does. She thought the Sona might be able to get the heal in time, but it was just not enough. We do see Shen going for the Sunfire Cape. Jax picks up a Dragon solo, and this Jax is doing a real good job after being in a fairly annoying 2v1 lane. The 2v1 lane just hasn't worked out any time this tournament. Graves has picked up a Zeal. We do see Nocturne having finished off his Wriggle's Lantern, and Fizz will take the blue buff on the red side of things. Ezreal's completed that Bloodthirster. Ruby Sightstone up onto Sona. We are going to see an Anathane's Unholy Grail completed very soon onto Orianna. And I'm just not sure what the CCC side can do at this point. The score is 15-3 with a 10,000 gold lead here, and Jax is just looking monstrous this game. I thought that 2v1 lane would do a better job of shutting him down, but apparently I was wrong. They had a decent chance of shutting him down, but nothing much coming of it. As we do see Fizz teleporting in here, and he will do a bunch of damage to Ezreal, not enough to pick him off. But there's the Graves ultimate over the top, finishing everyone off. And this is just the power of that roam, or I'm guessing it's a roam comp, but it's that odd pick. They didn't know what to do about Kayle, so they picked very safe when the M side had a real pocket strategy here. Fizz throws out the Shark, and it will mean that Sona goes very low, but she will not die thanks to her own heal. But Kayle will finish off a tower. And that leaves the tower score 6-1 with Fizz just jumping in and out. And I don't think the CCC side knows how to play against Fizz, as Fizz has done a lot of work this game and was never really shut down by that Orianna. Orianna should have a pretty good time against Fizz, but not this game. This Fizz is just a real specialty pick. As we do see the red team grouping up down bottom, I'm not sure if they're going to actually try to do anything. They might think that their blue buff's up, but I'm not sure. Kayle has completed the Nashor's Tooth, looking for the attack speed build, and I'm really not sure what the red side can do at this point. They don't have the group up and team fight. They have more of a split push lineup, and I'm not sure they're going to actually be able to split push, as Shen is not strong enough to fight anyone at this point. He's only level 10, just now hitting level 11, and he's actually the highest level on the team, so the entire red side has just been shut down this game. As Jax has completed his Blade of the Rune King, likely to go up into a Phage next. as we do see red side trying to group up and make a team fight happen. If they can combo all their ults perfectly, hitting 5 people with every single one, they could win a team fight. That's the only thing I could see them doing. But I'm just not sure the blue side's going to give it to him. As we see Graves finishing off his static shiv in addition to the pickaxe, likely going to go into a last whisper. We do have Fizz up top finishing off his needlessly large rod in addition to the double Duran's rings, spell penetration boots, and Lichbane. And it looks like Kayle is going to try and bait a fight out here as she is pretty strong. Taunt just misses. And all 5 members are here, and there's Fizz with a feeding time. Nice ultimate up by Sona, hits 2, but it's just not enough as Jax runs right through 2, get hit by the Orianna ultimate, but they really need more than 2 hit by all these ultimates. Fizz finally does go down, but it is not enough as that should be a team wipe. Though they did pick up a good bit of gold from the Kayle and Fizz going down, it is not enough as they're going to likely lose the first inhibitor of the game right at about 20 minutes. And this is just the advantage of having 1 or 2 pocket strategies that you can pull off kind of randomly. That Kayle, Fizz, Lulu kind of don't die comp really was effective, and I expect to see it used again against teams that haven't really prepared for it. It's a very niche strategy, but it works out pretty well as it relies on Kayle getting to level 6 pretty quickly, and the fact that Fizz isn't countered in lane. Though they did pick Fizz late enough in the draft pool that it was going to be very hard to actually find a good mid counter to him, as they really didn't want to pick up someone risky. And it looks like the red team is going to just run around for a few moments. And I'm not sure what they can do to get back here unless they can land all their ultimates again. They have to land all their ultimates on 5 people, and I don't think M is going to actually allow that, because they can easily have Graves just sit back and pump damage out as he's going for an Infinity Edge next. And you can easily have Jax and Kayle on opposite sides of the battlefield. Same with Fizz. Fizz can be in melee range, while you have Kayle and Graves out a mile away, so that they aren't in any threat of being hit by the ultimates. And it looks like the blue side of M has decided to just split push with Graves running down bottom. Though the red side might try a desperation Baron, I don't think they're going to actually be able to, or Graves will take down another inhibitor. And they can't afford to have both top and bottom inhibitors down, as if you have both of those down, you're in a lot of trouble. Looks like Kayle's trying to run up here and get something started, but I don't think she's going to be in range, as Orianna just does a little bit too much damage. And we are going to see the red team just back up into their base, as they just need to farm and wait for ultra late game when everybody has 6 items. That's about their only hope at this point, as Ezreal is going for the Iceborne Gauntlets. We do have Shen completing off his Sunfire Cape, likely going for an Age of the Legion next. Age of the Legion up onto Nocturne. And we are going to see, not sure what we're going to see out of Sona at this point, as she just has a bunch of components of items. Jack's likely going to go for Warmonks now, having completed the Blade of the Rune King. Kayle going for likely a Zephyr after completing the Stinger, Nashor's Tooth, and Spirit of the Elder Lizard. And the blue team does decide to back up here, as their whole team was not there. Fizz still sitting in base waiting to teleport in with his home guard boots. Fizz does teleport in and he jumps right on Sona. Sona ultimate only hits 1, but she does live and force Graves Flash, but no, she does go down after forcing Graves Flash. But that's the problem, you don't have the Sona ultimate. Sona ultimate's a key component of the AoE lockdown for CCC's side, and without that ultimate, they're not going to have enough to keep him down to get the kills on the primary targets like Graves or Jax, Kayle, anyone at this point. Though I don't think killing Jax is really an option with that Giant's Belt and Ruby Crystal. And it looks like we do have Zhonya's Hourglass completed up onto Fizz, and this should be the last inhibitor of the game, falling with the score being 22-5 with a massive gold lead for MMM. Looks like Fizz will almost be taunted by Shen, but he is Zhonya's Hourglassing it and just kind of jumping around with his pole. And we do see the game should end here. I don't see any way anything happen, but Nocturne has popped his ultimate, but gets knocked up, so he does not get the jump. And Jack's running in there for some massive damage. And Fizz will actually be able to live, as there is just nothing the red side can do. as this game will end, final score 25-5, with about an 18,000 gold lead. And that's the value of a pocket strategy. The Kayle jungle and Fizz mid lane probably won't work again, as the CCC side has seen it, but it got them a win, a much needed win in a tournament where they can ill afford to lose a game. Thank you for watching Games Cast by Pan and Aurel. For more commented games, please visit my YouTube and stream channels.